Hello and welcome to Your Stocks live from CNBC-TV18 Motilal Oswal Studios. I'm Vinny Motiwala. Thank you so much for tuning in. Markets today, we've looked at them as well, and they've been quite subdued in today's trading session, down almost 1%. No sort of recovery that's come in the markets as well. 200 points down in trade is what the Nifty is trading at, 0.9% of decline. Mid and small cap, that's where the clear pressure is coming in today. And Nifty mid and small cap both are seeing a downtick of almost 2%, more than 2% in today's trading session, almost near the day's lowest point is what the market is trading at. Nifty Bank also is trading in the red, so nothing exciting happening in the markets. But we do have our experts joining you with us who are here to solve all your stock-related queries. And joining us today, we have Aditya Agarwala, the head of research and investment at Invest4edu, as well as Gaurang Shah, senior vice president at Geojit Financial Services. You're joining in with us today, this afternoon, to solve all the stock-related queries. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining in us on the show, as always. Monday blues clearly creeping in today. Gaurang, you are surely wearing a shade of blue. Aditya, what's your take on the markets? You have no blue. Are you expecting these sluggishness in the market to continue? What are the levels that we're expecting today?
Hi, Vinny. Good afternoon. Thanks for having the show. I think markets will remain in a range. I don't see too much of a selling pressure from here on. We corrected the previous week. This week, we're also starting on a weak footing. 20 DMA is something that I'm eyeing very closely, which is close to about 200 to about 300 on the downside. So if these levels are held between 200 to about 300, I think so you will again see a short covering rally in the market. On the upside, 24,000 is going to act as a hurdle. So between 24,000 on the upside and maybe 200 on the downside, markets will continue to oscillate. And within the pockets, there will be sectors which will continue to outperform. And banking is something, Vinny, I think should be looked at after a decent correction. On the downside, 49,000 is a 49,600 is a very strong support. On the upside, I think so 50,000, 51,000 is something that can be seen. So from here on, I'm a little more constructive on the banking stocks. And the consumption play, I think these are the two sectors which will outperform. Not too bearish on the market at current levels.
Not too bearish. Banking and consumption side is what you're looking at. Okay, thanks so much for that. Let's get started with the stock-related queries then. We have a whole host of them coming in. And the first one today is from Asambi Reddy, who's writing to us from Andhra Pradesh, holding 120 shares of Reliance Industries at a price of 1,480 rupees per share. He can hold his shares for the next 3 to 4 years as well. He's a long-term investor. Just wants to know whether it makes sense to continue to hold these for a long term, and could he expect good returns? Let's take it to you first, Gaurang. Good afternoon, and what's your view coming in for Reliance Industries long-term investor?
Well, thank you very much for having me on the show, Vinny. I hope my blue gets spread onto the market as well, to be very honest, with the kind of beginning that we've seen this Monday morning. But having said that, on Reliance Industries, we've been constructive for a pretty long period of time. We continue to maintain our positive stance on the fundamental side. 1,500 plus are the levels that we are looking at. And stock trading somewhere close to about 1250 currently as we speak. From here on, the downside looks protected given the kind of situation that we have in the market, as well as the earnings that was delivered by Reliance Industries. So if you got invested at 1400 plus levels, if you have investable from a long-term point of view, and I'm sure you have 2 to 3 years kind of a time horizon, I would advise you to add on to it more. And if in case somebody wants to make a fresh investments in Reliance, from a long-term point of view, we would advise that as well.
Okay, advising to add on to the current levels, can make fresh investments as well, and this is for long-term investors' view. Aditya, Reliance Industries, when you look at it, a bit of that muted performance has come in. We're not seeing much of a move in the last few months. What's your chart indicating? Long-term investor, can they continue to hold this? And definitely, even short-term, then what's the view?
Definitely, Vinny. I think both short-term, long-term people should latch on to Reliance Industries. In fact, I am of the view that if one stock you're looking at from the Nifty 50 basket that you should buy and hold on to it, Reliance is something that you should definitely latch on to it. At current levels also, like Gaurang said, downside is protected from here on. Maybe 1200 is something on the downside, which is maximum that I see. We're almost at 1250, 1240 odd levels. On the upside, I think so easily 1400, about 1500 is something that I'm eyeing on Reliance. On short term, if we're talking about little longer term, maybe 2000 is something that I'm looking at Reliance. So this is one stock that I'm betting big on from the Nifty 50 pack, and I think so one should definitely build position in Reliance at current levels for both short and medium term and long term.
Okay, Reliance, thumbs up coming in from both our experts for today. Let's move on to the next query. LIC Housing Finance, that's a query on. We have Rahul who's writing to us and he's writing to us from Chennai. He's holding 83 shares of LIC Housing and this is at a price of 585 rupees per share. Wants to know the technical levels and the one-year view on the stock. So let me come to you, Gaurang, first. On the fundamentals for a one-year time period, how is the stock looking like? How is the company looking like?
Yeah, prudent disclosure, we have a positive coverage on LIC Housing Finance. Interest cuts announced last week on Friday, 7th of Feb by the Honorable RBI Governor of 25 basis point will start reflecting upon the loan book growth as we go into the future. Real estate sector doing well also reflects positively for housing finance companies. Affordability is a little bit of point of pain, Vinny, and some places where prices are a little bit on the higher side. But our sense is that the affordable housing segment is going to see a very decent growth going forward from here on. So from a long-term point of view, if you have investments, hold on. And if you want to add on to it, I would advise that as well. But this is on the fundamental side from a long-term point of view.
Okay, fundamental view coming in there, but LIC Housing on the technical front. Aditya, what are we watching out for? Last 6 months, I'm seeing a 13% downtick coming in. What would you advise the viewer on the technicals? Should they look to, maybe add some bit more? They bought it at 585, currently at 562.
Vinny, I would suggest hold on to it. There is some more downside. I don't rule out further downside from here on. Somewhere around 510, 500 odd levels is where I see support levels. Stock might just weaken further, but given the fact that he's already bought it at slightly elevated levels and most of the correction in the stock is done with, we're talking about a correction from 820 odd levels to 560 odd levels. So I think the downside is limited to around 510, 500 odd levels with the support around those areas. Stock can bounce back to levels of 650 plus. So hold on to it at current levels. Don't look to add on to it the current position. Maybe around somewhere around 510 you can revisit and then look at adding fresh positions in LIC Housing Finance.
Okay, let's move on to the next query. Kamini Jain, who's writing to us from New Delhi. She's holding 100 shares of Vodafone Idea at a price of ₹6. Wants to know whether to remain invested or sell this one. Gaurang, your view on this one? I know we've spoken about Vodafone Idea before as well, but I think a lot of investors do have Vodafone Idea. So what should they be doing now?
Yeah, no, one too many to be very honest, because normally on a caller show, Vinny, I get at least 2 questions on Vodafone Idea. So let me give a prudent disclosure. This is a high risk, high return kind of an investment. More of pain, less of gain. As of now, given the kind of backdrop of events we have, there was news flow or source-based information that in budget AGR announcement is likely to have a positive impact, but nothing of that came through as far as the budget is concerned on the AGR. Currently, we have a hold recommendation on Vodafone Idea with a target of about ₹9. That's where the stock is. I would say that use your wisdom and fine sense of judgment as far as your investment in Vodafone Idea is concerned.
Okay, and Aditya, your view on Vodafone Idea? As of now, at least Kamini, the viewer, is making profit because she bought it at ₹6. The stock is at ₹9. What would you suggest her? Then what should you be doing?
My prudent advice would be place the stop loss somewhere around ₹8.5 and continue to hold on to the position. Maybe I think stock has seen worse days, but again, like Gaurang said, use your wisdom. It's very difficult to take a call on Vodafone Idea. It's like more pain than less of gain. So on the upside, ₹12 is something that I think can be achievable, but time will tell how long it will take to get to ₹10-12 there. So maybe 8.5 should be a stop loss. If that is triggered, you should be out of the trade. You will still end up making some profits on the stock. On the upside, between 10 to 12 is where you should look to exit from the position.
Okay, thank you so much for that, and keep an eye out on those levels over there for Vodafone Idea. On that note, we're going to step into a very short break. After the break, we'll address more of your stock-related queries. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back and thanks for staying tuned into your stocks on CNBC-TV18. Let's keep it going with all your stock-related queries. We still have our experts with us, Aditya Agarwala as well as Gaurang Shah, who are still here to solve all those doubts. Let's move on to the next query, gentlemen. We have Bajaj Finance. This is a stock that the viewer wants to know about. It's from Manoj Kumar, who's writing to us from Mumbai. He's holding 13 shares of Bajaj Finance. It's at a price of 7,616 rupees per share. Obviously, he's making a profit on this one. Wants to know whether he should continue to hold this or exit at the current level. Gaurang, your view on this one?
So, Vinny, this has been one of the strongest performers in the NBFC category. There was a time last fiscal when, because of certain business updates, the stock was subdued between 6,000, 6,500 for a pretty long period of time. Then appropriate steps were taken, business strategy was reworked, put in place at ground level, and the turnaround as a result of which Bajaj Finance is doing what it is doing today. We have fundamental coverage from a long-term point of view. Hold on for long-term.
Hold on for long-term. That's your view coming in. And Aditya, your view on Bajaj Finance?
Oh, definitely a buy, Vinny. And if you already have it, own it, hold it, because the viewer has bought it at lower levels. I'm looking at a target of 9,700 on the upside. So that's a significant upside that I'm looking at Bajaj Finance. It's broken out from an ascending triangle pattern from 2021. This consolidation was going on. So that's a fairly large consolidation breakout that we're looking on. So definitely hold on to it. Maybe add more positions. It is corrected today. So it's a good idea to actually add on to some more positions at current levels. Look for a target of 9,700 and maintain a stop loss somewhere around your buying area.
Okay. 9,700 is what you are seeing on the charts coming in for Bajaj Finance as well. Let's move on to the next query. We have Preeti, who's writing to us from Bangalore. She's holding 26,000 shares of Yes Bank at an average price of 17 rupees per share. Now, they want to know in terms of what should they be doing? Should they continue to hold? What is the stop loss that one needs to consider for this one? Your view on this one, Gaurang?
Well, firstly, I would say there are much established and better banks when compared to Yes Bank. It has all sorts of problems that one can have in a bank balance sheet. We used to cover the stock many years back. We've dropped it since quite some time back. Currently, we don't have any coverage, so I won't give a buy, sell, and hold. But I would use that same phrase that I used for Vodafone Idea. Use your wisdom and fine sense of judgment. And like I mentioned, this is not the only banking stock that is listed. There are sound banks. Alternative investment idea, if you ask me, Vinny, would be an IDFC First Bank, though second quarter, third quarter numbers were disappointment on fallback of the MFI segment, loan exposure, etc. But there are better banks compared to Yes Bank.
Okay, that's a view on Yes Bank coming in from Gaurang. And on the charts and technicals, anything different, Aditya?
In fact, both Vodafone and Idea give you similar kind of a chart setup, and a similar kind of view is also formed looking at both the chart setup. So on the downside, maybe 18 is something that I would recommend. Maybe place a stop loss around those areas and look for a target of somewhere around 21, 22. Very difficult to say whether the stock will reach 22 because, and like Gaurang said, there are enough and many more better plays in the banking space. So why stick to Yes Bank? You have IDFC First, you have CSB, you have likes of PNB. Look at some of the smaller PSU banks. Probably they will outperform from here on as compared to Yes Bank.
Okay, let's move on to the next query for today. We have Vidya Vijay Raghavan, who's writing to us from Kerala. He's holding 700 shares of Power Grid. This is at a price of 200 rupees per share. Wants to know whether to continue to hold this or look to sell this, making some bit of a profit on this one. Your view on Power Grid, Gaurang?
So firstly, I think the buy price is very comfortable in terms of investment. On the long-term point of view, we are positive. This is the company which is having a large part of a monopoly kind of a situation in, power distribution grid network, both interstates and one state to another state, and inter-regional also. There were certain issues on the earnings front, which was a little bit of shortfall, but with the kind of power capacity that is going to come up, Vinny, in the next couple of years, you are going to need the back-end infrastructure of Power Grid for distributing that power which is generated. So hold on from a long-term point of view is what I'll recommend.
Okay, hold on from a long-term point of view. And Aditya, just a one-word answer. What should the viewer do, hold or sell?
hold given the fact that the buying price is too low.
Okay. But that's all the time we have on this edition of Your Stocks on CNBC TV18. So thank you so much, Gaurang, as well as Aditya, for joining in with us and solving all our viewer-related queries. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition. So thank you so much for tuning in. Up next, you have Closing Bell that will take you through the last hour of trade and where the market is headed. All the action on the other side.